Here we go. You are about to experience the Skip Bayless Show, brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And please remember, you can now find Skip versus Ernestine on its new channel by going to youtube.com/@Skip versus Ernestine. That's youtube.com/@Skip vs Ernestine. And please mark your calendar for this, because this Wednesday, my guest on Skip One-on-One will be Ice Cube of NWA and Friday fame. Cube, straight out of Compton, this Wednesday on Skip One-on-One. Do not miss. Now, today I'm about to tell you why I actually believe my Cowboys will be far more competitive next season. I actually do. Even in the NFL's first game, Cowboys at Eagles, September 4th, that Thursday night. I'll tell you all about it in just a moment. Then I'll tell you why I find it preposterous that Draymond Green says there's an agenda out there to portray him as an angry black man. Seriously? Who knew? And finally, I'll tell you why my Oklahoma City Thunder are, according to my brother Lil Wayne, playing in another league from everybody else in the NBA, even though they haven't quite played up to that billing so far in these playoffs. We'll get into that. But first up, Shedeur and Dion and Tom Brady. I have two pieces of unbroken news. Two new details that I think you'll find very intriguing, if not enlightening. So you might have seen the video I posted last, I believe it was Thursday night. Tom Brady on Jake Paul's podcast blasted me for saying he obviously told Raiders GM John Spytek not to draft Shedeur. That's my opinion. That's my take. And I know I'm right. So I fired back at Tom Brady, pointing out that Spytek, his former teammate at Michigan, had said before the draft that the Raiders would be fools not to ask Tom Brady, now Raiders owner, about quarterbacks they were considering in the draft. They'd be absolute fools not to ask Tom Brady about quarterbacks. I mean, Brady's the obvious GOAT. How many times have I said that on the airwaves over the last 10 years? And which quarterback obviously was the most debated quarterback, I think, in any draft ever? Well, that was Dion's son, Shedeur, the same quarterback Tom Brady had mentored and coached since he was, I think, a sophomore in high school. So Tom Brady wants us to believe his good friend Spytek, who also was an executive with the Bucs when Tom won the Super Bowl down in Tampa, that GM of the Raiders wouldn't ask him as a Raiders owner one thing about Shedeur? Yeah, right, Tom. And you didn't fumble on that tuck rule play and maybe cost Al Davis a Super Bowl. Come on, man. Nobody knew more about Shedeur than you did, Tom. That's tangibly and intangibly. I mean, you spent so much time around the kid. And let's just face up to it. You obviously vetoed that kid to Spytek. I mean, the Raiders passed on Shedeur 7 times before Cleveland owner Jimmy Haslam overruled his executives and his coaches. And Haslam took Shedeur with the 144th overall pick in the 5th round. I think Haslam took him just for the publicity of it. He loves publicity because he can't win. So Tom Brady's team, the Las Vegas Raiders, had 3 third-round picks. They had 2 fourth-round picks. And it would have been perfect for Shedeur to just sit behind Geno Smith for a couple of years, learn the game, right on schedule, 2 years. Come on, man. Yet Spytek obviously did not take Shedeur with any of those picks because Tom Brady had obviously told Spytek not to take Shedeur Sanders with any pick. So, as I said on my Thursday night video. It's okay, Tom. Just own it. You and a whole lot of other NFL people decided Shedeur just wasn't worth the potential trouble, wasn't talented enough, I guess, to overcome the entitlement with which he was raised. He was too spoiled. He was too pampered. He was too brash, too arrogant. Blah, 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 blah. I heard it all. Too long-term dangerous because Deion would immediately be involved. A far more famous and powerful LeVar Ball of a father. An imminent threat to the current coach. In this case, it would have been Pete Carroll with the Raiders. Because, Raider Nation would soon have been chanting, Deion, 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 to take over and coach Shedeur. Sure, all these scenarios were played out behind closed doors by Tom Brady and Spytech. And you, Tom, obviously said, no, 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 no. Yet you told Jake and Logan Paul on that podcast that you weren't at all involved in the Raiders draft evaluation process. Not at all involved. You knew nothing about it. You don't know anything about what happened behind closed doors if it was Shedeur. Tom, come on, your nose is going to grow. I defended you all through Deflategate. I said that scoundrel Belichick was involved if any footballs were underinflated, but not you, Tom. But now, I got to admit, you're making me wonder, if you dodged the truth about Shedeur, would you have ... Come on, Tom, just own it. If you don't believe in Shedeur as an NFL quarterback for whatever reason, just own that. If it's his tangibles, his intangibles, I don't know what your opinion is. I just know, bottom line, what it is. No, 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 no. I mean, even though many people have told me I'm wrong, I have owned my belief that Shedeur was the best quarterback in that draft. I love and still love, after all the negativity I've been bombarded with, I still love, number one, his accuracy. Number two, his toughness. Number three, his poise and his feel for playing that position. Hardest position, as you know, Tom, to play in all of sports. Number four, I love his clutchness. Number five, I love his leadership. And number six, I love the fact that he was raised by the greatest athlete ever, Deion. He was raised to be great by Deion. For me, that was a plus, not a minus. Then I kept hearing, well, he's not the athlete Deion was. Well, who is? Whoever was. I mean, Shedeur is certainly more mobile than you were, Tom. I think that's just a fact. So Tom, now don't go smiling assassin on Shedeur. Don't still try to be his mentor, his big brother, his best friend. Don't keep telling him to show them all how wrong they were about you, just the way I did. Tom, you were part of them all. You were part of those who didn't believe in Shedeur. So he needs to show you, Tom, not them. Don't show them all. You are part of them all. Don't be a two-faced hypocrite. You, Tom, are now part of the NFL power structure as an owner, as a broadcaster. Don't try to play both sides against the middle. Tom, I'm pretty sure Shedeur is on to you now. Oh, I'm sure he'll say publicly all the right things about you. After all, he has to be on his very best behavior now after the league shunned and shamed him and disqualified him as brash and arrogant. But here's a little secret people don't know. The media jumped to the conclusion that when Shedeur couldn't get the number 2 in Cleveland that he wore in college, that he opted for number 12 in honor of Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., the GOAT who mentored and coached him. Wrong. Tom Brady shattered that fairy tale. No, Shedeur did not choose 12 because of Brady. He chose it because 12 is his father's number backward. Deion, of course, wore 21. Shedeur will wear 12 as a tribute to his father, to Deion, not to his godfather, Brady, who went cold-blooded Vito Corleone on Shedeur. And by the way, while I'm at it, how disrespectful was it to Shedeur Sanders, son of Deion, ranked 5th overall on Mel Kiper's final big board, one slot above Cam Ward? How shameful was it that he winds up in Cleveland, did Shedeur, and DeAndre Carter won't give Shedeur number 2? I mean, DeAndre Carter, a receiver once undrafted out of Sacramento State, that was back in 2015. He's now on his 12th NFL team, and he's too good to give number 2 to Shedeur? Are you kidding me? I don't know. I guess that's all part of the humbling process that Shedeur now must go through. Look, I said from the start that this was all about the NFL teaching Deion and his son a lesson. Congrats, NFL. Laugh your asses off. Deion navigated Shedeur all the way to Cleveland, to Haslam's laughingstock Browns in the 5th round. Hooray. You got him. You won for now. And now to Deion. A source close to Deion tells me that source has now seen Deion cry only twice. First time was after Deion's suicide attempt in 1997. The second was after his son fell all the way to 144th in the draft. Deion cried. Now, I had one insider tell me, well, Deion cried because he knew all along Shedeur wasn't that good, and that he now knows that he just should have been tough love, honest with Shedeur and prepared him for what was about to happen. I don't believe that for 1 second. I had Deion on my show, Skip 101. I can tell you for a fact that he believed with all his heart and soul that Shedeur was the best quarterback in this draft. I mean, Deion nicknamed Shedeur Grown when Shedeur was in middle school because he was so mature for his age. What? Now, Deion truly believed Shedeur should and would go number 1 overall. I mean, is it possible that Deion turned a little bit into that classic delusional father, blinded by pride in his son? I don't know, maybe to some degree, yet Deion did feel, I know this for a fact, that he was objectively right about his son, that he did the week before the Super Bowl down in New Orleans tell Dan Patrick on his show that he, Deion, would tell some teams picking high in the draft not to even think about drafting Shedeur because Shedeur wasn't going to play for you and for you. He wouldn't name the teams, but he said he would help navigate his son to the best fit for his son at the top of the draft. So, yeah. Deion indicated he'd go Archie Manning on the draft. Remember, Archie once navigated Eli out of San Diego to New York and the Giants. I still believe, as I said before, that interview, those statements were what most turned the NFL against Shedeur and Deion, that Deion dared to compare himself and his situation to the beloved first family of football, the Mannings. That's when I believe the NFL pretty much said in colluding unison, oh yeah, watch this, Deion. That's why Deion cried after the draft, because he realized he just talked too much, too positively much about his son's potential greatness, that he, Deion, inspired too much jealousy and too much resentment. And that he helped put his son through a 3-day ringer of shame. I mean, he is Deion Sanders, Neon Deion, Coach Prime. Anything he says will hit with 10 tons more impact than any other coach in this country. I'm talking college or pro coach. Deion knows that for a fact. So he cried over what his son had to endure over those 3 days, 2 nights and a day. And you know what? Maybe he cried a few tears of joy and satisfaction when Shedeur told him that Shedeur chose to wear 21 backward in honor of his father. Not 12 for that smiling assassin Brady, that double agent. No, 12 backward for Pops. Now I'm hoping Shedeur Sanders proves Tom Brady almost as wrong as Brady proved everyone who failed to draft him until the 6th round. It is now time for my NBA picks. And please remember, FanDuel is the best place to find all your favorite player props. And now you can make the smarter play with new performance trends. Want to see if a guy's hitting that over consistently, or maybe they've been flirting with a potential triple-double. Get the latest stats right inside the app and see who's heating up. And once the game starts, man, that's when things get interesting. You can combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. If you don't already have FanDuel, it's not too late to get in on the action. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So just visit FanDuel.com/skip to join today. Do it right now. FanDuel.com/skip. Right now. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Now, speaking of, give me the Celtics tonight, -6.5 in New York. I mean, the Celtics were up 20, as you well know, in games 1 and 2 in Boston. Should have won by 30 and blew both games. Then Saturday, the Celtics won by 22 at Madison Square Garden. The Celtics just keep showing you they're considerably better than the Knicks. And they obviously will be a little more desperate than the Knicks tonight because they're still down 2-1. So give me the Celtics to win by more than 6.5 points. Then Tuesday night, give me the Thunder giving Denver 10.5 points. That's in Oklahoma City. Yeah, I know I'm a fan. I'm from Oklahoma City, but the Thunder easily could have won all 4 games. So I'm thinking, or maybe I'm hoping, Game 5 will more closely resemble Game 2, which the Thunder won in Oklahoma City 149-106. Thunder up. Okay, so the announcement has come. Now we know. Opening Thursday night, the first NFL game of the season, I believe it's 8:20 Eastern time on NBC, will feature the Philadelphia Eagles, now the defending champions, the team I picked to win it all before last year even commenced. And now, officially, my Cowboys are 0-1 because opening night will feature my Dallas Cowboys at Philadelphia Eagles. So You can book it right now. We will lose that game. But I am now here to tell you, I feel far better about our chances to compete than I have in a long time. I mean, how dreary was that last game? I think it was December 29th last season at Philadelphia, Dallas at Eagles. Remember that game? I can barely. That game featured Cooper Rush, now the Baltimore backup, against Kenny Pickett, now one of 5 quarterbacks competing in Cleveland. In Cleveland? That game last December 29th was 41-7 Philadelphia. Cooper Rush, a guy I loved and I will miss, was pathetic in that game through 2 picks. Saquon Barkley ran wild. Jalen Hurts, again, didn't even play. And we got cakewalked. We got steamrolled. We got humiliated and annihilated at Philadelphia at the end of a long, hard, pathetic Dallas Cowboys season. Ugh. How quickly I try to forget. But now it's going to be different. Why? Laugh if you must, but it's going to be different because of a potential TO, a potential team obliterator. The newest Dallas Cowboy, George Pickens. Yeah, I said it. George Pickens will change life in Dallas. Yeah, I'm going to predict it right here, right now. My Cowboys will cover on opening night. We're 7-point dogs at Philly already. We'll lose, but we will cover. It will be a fairly close game. We will come within fewer than 7 points of the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to win. We will cover. Book it because of George Pickens. Now, yeah, Steeler Nation, I fully realize, I know that the great Mike Tomlin finally said no to George Pickens. Finally. And yes, Steeler Nation, I fully realize, I know that the great Mike Tomlin finally said no to George Pickens, finally decided George Pickens was far more trouble than he was worth after so many on-field incidents, so many penalties, so many fines, so many Sundays when he showed up late to the stadium on game day, past the cutoff time for players' arrival. And I will admit to you, that last issue scares me the most. And yep, it does make me a little queasy that the great Mike Tomlin kept saying George Pickens just needs to grow up and finally decided he never will. And yeah, Cowboy Nation, I know that back in college at Georgia, George Pickens was suspended for a first half of a game for violating team rules. Scares me. And then for the first half of the SEC championship game for fighting in the Georgia Tech game. That's just who he is. And then I know that Pickens' 40 time didn't exactly drop jaws, 4.47, and he had battled various college injuries, including hamstrings. Scares me. So he fell all the way through the first round to 52nd overall in the draft. And he became a meme after being pictured wearing a ski mask as, in his parents' living room, he watched Pittsburgh take him in the second round. He later admitted he was a little salty that he hadn't been taken in the first round. Well, I can't blame him for that. Look, I know all of the above, and right now I can't care about any of the above. I just want to rise above what we have been. I'm just telling you the truth. I just have this deep down, tiny little happy tickle of a feeling that George Pickens is the best thing that has happened to my Dallas Cowboys in, I don't know, forever. I actually like their chances far, far better next season and even at Philadelphia in that opener because they finally did something. They finally plunged on a high-risk, high-reward George Pickens. By George, we now have a chance to compete with the Eagles and the Commanders and maybe even avoid last place in the NFC East, where I thought we were heading until this trade came down. Thank you, Jerry Jones. You finally did something. Just did something. You quit fiddling around while your Rome burned. You quit dozing off as you often do during free agency. All those low-risk, low-reward moves. You finally marched right back out there into that NFL oil field, and you plunged the way you used to in the real oil fields back in the day. You risk hitting nothing but an immature dry hole in George Pickens. But you also gambled on gusher potential for a 3rd-round pick and a 5th-round pick and get back a 6th. It's worth it, Jerry. Finally, Jerry, you actually acquired potential game-changing, difference-making talent. George Pickens proved in 3 Pittsburgh seasons to be, and I'm not exaggerating, the best deep threat in the National Football League. Back in 2023, he averaged a league-high 18.1 yards per reception. Over his career, he's been 16.3 yards per reception. That's the best of any receiver in the last 3 years since he came into this league. And I know he is not blazing fast. That's not it. It's that he tracks the ball the way Lynn Swann once did against my Cowboys in 2 Super Bowls. George Pickens rises the way Lynn Swann used to rise, so athletically and gymnastically and gracefully with rare timing and a rare pair of big, strong hands that can just rip the football away from stunned DBs. In one way, only one way, but in one way, George Pickens does remind me of Travis Hunter, and that's when the ball goes up, it's his, it's Travis's, it's George's. Look, in the end, rare talent prevails in the NFL. What happened a year ago? The great Howie Roseman in Philadelphia signed a rarely explosive back named Saquon Barkley. That was in free agency. Then in the draft, he came away with 2 rarely talented corners, by far the 2 best corners in that draft, and it was fly, Eagles, fly all the way to a Super Bowl championship. Look, in Dallas, we already had the most productive receiver in football. We had CeeDee Lamb, who just kept fighting through double coverage and trying to catch balls from a quarterback, Dak Prescott, he does not deeply love or completely trust. But now Pickens will strike fear on the other side. Now Pickens will honest up defenses, make them honor his home run capability and his red zone contested catch TD stats. At 6 feet, 3 inches tall and 200 pounds. He plays even bigger than that, especially in the red zone. Now my Dallas Cowboys have a real live talent opposite CD, albeit a thin-skinned, hot-headed diva of a talent, a potential TO as in team obliterator, but a talent with something to prove both to Mike Tomlin for dumping him and to Jerry Jones, who's drawn a line in the sand, said he's going to make George Pickens play out the final year of his rookie deal without a new contract. That's brilliant, Jerry. Way to go. Here we go. Yep, you got me on this. I readily admit George Pickens is a thin-skinned, hot-headed diva who has not yet grown up, who will make waves when he's thrown only, 3 or 4 balls to CD's dozens. So be it. Let the chips fall. Because I'm just sick and tired of cow chips falling like dung all over the football field for my Dallas Cowboys. Let the chips fall now because they're talented poker chips. I mean, Jalen Tolbert scares nobody. I know he's Dak's little buddy, but I don't care. Now I got George Pickens. And okay, you got me on this one. It's not like we have a Philadelphia stronghold of tone-setting leaders in our locker room who'll lay down the law to George Pickens. I've said it from the start. We have just one baller on our team. That's CeeDee Lamb. But he pretty much stays to himself, kind of leads only himself. Micah just doesn't get it yet, just hasn't grown up. Dak isn't a dynamic leader because he doesn't always back up his pregame rah-rah speeches with big game performances. That's his problem. But at least Dak's smart enough. He's experienced enough to spread the sugar fairly equally between CD and pick. Dak throws a lot of picks, but now he's throwing to a pick, as in Pickens. And I'm telling you the truth from my heart. I actually love this. Now, might Pickens soon turn into a Terrell Owens, a team obliterator? Well, yeah, he well might. Mike Tomlin is probably privately betting on it as we speak. You know, and I know, when you're playing at Jerry's Palace in Dallas, it can go to your head pretty quickly. Dallas, Texas has a long history. I've written 3 books about it. Long history of hero worshiping its Cowboys right into oblivion. And George Pickens is certainly a candidate to fall into that trap of a sad pantheon. But I just don't care. Not now. The Eagles and the Commanders are just too good right now for me to care. Jerry went out and got us a rare talent, a combination Lynn Swann and Travis Hunter. And yeah, I know, somewhere Mike Tomlin is watching this video, watching this show, and chuckling a low and knowing chuckle. Look, I'm very obviously white, so maybe I'm just not qualified to take issue with any black man in this country playing the race card. I mean, I obviously don't walk in his shoes, can't remotely feel what he feels. So far be it for me to even attempt to conclude whether a black man is legitimately being discriminated against. Until now. Until this. After game 2 of Golden State, Minnesota, and that was after Draymond Green had received yet another technical foul, this time for appearing to slap Naz Reid in the head after Reid had fouled him. After that, this is what Draymond Green said to the media in the locker room, and I quote, "Look like the angry black man. I'm not an angry black man. I am a very successful, educated black man with a great family, and I am great at basketball and great at what I do. The agenda to try to keep making me look like an angry black man is crazy. I'm sick of it. It's ridiculous. Period." Unquote. From Draymond Green. This is just me. Not once have I ever thought of Draymond Green as an angry black man. And I wholeheartedly agree. he's a very successful, educated black man, and that he's very good at what he does, because Draymond Green has somehow turned himself into the most beloved villain in sports history. And I'm in awe of that. I have never, ever been aware of any agenda out there to make Draymond look like an angry black man. I don't know. Race has never even been top of mind, back of mind. When I think of Draymond, the basketball player. Now, it's possible that Draymond, through self-inflicted incidents, has made himself look like an angry black man, even though I don't see that. But what I always think of when it comes to Draymond is just the cold, hard facts. Since Draymond Green entered the NBA, he has the most technical fouls. That's 164. That's 6 more than Russell Westbrook. Since entering this league, Draymond Green has the most ejections. That's 21, 7 more than DeMarcus Cousins, who's obviously long gone from the NBA. Draymond Green has been fined 228 times in his career. That has cost him over $4 million in fines and suspensions. Cold, hard facts. Draymond Green is the only player ever to be suspended for a game during an NBA Finals. I thought I'd never see the day. Remember what happened in Game 4 that cost him Game 5? What happened in Game 4 was Draymond Green loudly called LeBron a bitch. Then tried, as they ran up the floor and got tangled up, he tried to kick LeBron in the testicles. Same tactic he had resorted to against several players in those playoffs before that incident. That was all back, as you remember, in 2016. Then in October of 2022, Draymond Green sucker punched a teammate, Jordan Poole. That was during a practice. And somebody in the organization wanted to incriminate Draymond because that practice tape of that punch was leaked to the media, or we wouldn't have known about it. Interesting. Then came December of 2023, when Draymond Green was suspended for 12 games. It was indefinite at first, but it wound up being 12 games. Was forced to undergo counseling. That after he went flying into a fracas and headlocked and then pulled Rudy Gobert, what was it, 20 or 30 feet? And then there was the other incident that finally did him in when he MMA world kicked Nurkic in the corner. Remember that? Never seen anything quite like that. Okay, all self-inflicted. I don't know, maybe it makes some people leap to the conclusion he's an angry black man. I don't know. I sure don't. Yet now he says there's an agenda out there to portray him as an angry black. What? No, there isn't. To me, there's no attempt in the media to portray Draymond as anything but lovable, as a highly intelligent player who tries to get inside opponents' heads, antagonize, distract, play the enforcer role for a mostly finesse team that's long featured, obviously, Steph and Clay, and now just Steph, greatest shooter ever. I mean, Draymond Green has always gotten media rave reviews for his passing ability, his subtly brilliant pick setting for Steph, his high IQ defense, always a defensive player of the year candidate. But to me, and as usual, I'm pretty much alone in this opinion, Draymond's just a little crazy. I don't know, maybe a lot crazy, bordering on over the edge psycho. Not angry, just loses it crazy. His physicality has always been so celebrated, so rhapsodized, such a crucial ingredient for the Warriors, that Draymond just doesn't seem to have the same on-off switch that all the other players have. Draymond just doesn't play by the same rules because people are just highly entertained by his extremely emotional antics. They're always antics. Just antics? People are always so willing and ready to give him a pass, to overlook this and that and the other. But to me, in the end, the truth is, the God's truth is, Draymond Green is by far the dirtiest player in NBA history. Please tell me I'm wrong. I'm going to repeat it. Draymond Green, dirtiest player in NBA history. Please just go check out the YouTube montages of all of his dirty plays. No player has ever had such a vast body of dirty work. Draymond is a serial cheap shot artist. Almost every night he'll do something that makes me sit back and say, that's just dirty. That's not an antic. That's just dirty basketball. But the rest of the world thinks, oh, that's just Draymond. It's like Barkley. Charles Barkley can say almost anything he wants on TV and people just sit back and say, that's just Charles. Okay. So I did cover Dennis Rodman in Chicago in 1998. The Last Dance season, was around him a lot. Dennis Rodman was gifted at calculated, irritating, and distracting of opponents. But Rodman was not dirty the way Draymond is relentlessly dirty. Kurt Rambis was always a Laker enforcer capable of sending messages with extremely hard fouls, especially in big playoff games. But Rambis wasn't an every night cheap shot artist. And speaking of Rambis, if a white player had Draymond's record of techs and ejections and fines and suspensions, that white player long ago would have been vilified, condemned, canceled as an under-talented goon who's bad for basketball and who just doesn't belong in the league. Not Draymond. Draymond is obviously a very popular podcaster. Draymond will be full-time on Inside the NBA when he retires. Draymond stars in long-running TV commercials like the current one for Kia with his daughter. It's really good. Dare I say, heartwarming. Don't forget about the Grizzlies. Angry black man? What? So Draymond Green has averaged 9 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists for his career. Yet he's treated like a star. I'm talking about a big, beloved star. That's the missing agenda here. How did the dirtiest player ever pull this off? Angry black man? Nobody thinks that Draymond Green is an angry black man. I just think of him as a smart player with the screw loose. He wants to set a physical tone, then he flips out and takes it right over the edge. And maybe that screw was still a little loose after game 2 when he spoke to the media about this alleged agenda. The other night, in that game 3 loss at home, Draymond played 29 minutes and scored 2 points with 5 turnovers and ultimately 6 fouls and was gone. He did lure Dante DiVincenzo into committing an offensive foul. Then he trotted up the floor with Dante, arm around Dante, telling Dante in his ear how he suckered Dante into that foul. I don't know. No other player could have gotten away with that. Not without triggering some shoving, teammates coming in, a little fracas. But Draymond got away with it because he's Draymond. That's just Draymond. I don't get it. Honestly, I never have. Breakfast of Champions. So the other night, I was talking to my brother Lil Wayne on the phone about this and that, talking sports, talking hoops. We talked Pacers for a while. Wayne thinks it just might be their time, and I'm starting to think the same thing. Then we talked Celtics Knicks, and then Warriors Wolves. Finally, as we were about to say goodbye and good night, I said, wait a second. What about my Thunder? And Wayne said, well, they're not even part of this discussion. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, those guys are in another league. They're just something else. And Wayne chuckled that deep chuckle of his. And I say, thank you, sir. That's exactly what I've been saying all year long. My Thunder obliterated the West by 16 games, set records for margin of victory, finished number one in defense, first in steals, first in points off turnovers, just went juggernaut on the NBA during the regular season, just played a game with which the rest of the league was not familiar. That's why the Thunder are still favored to win it all, why they're a 10.5 point favorite at home, Tuesday night's Game 5, as I mentioned before. Yet, you got me on this, of course. This series against the Nuggets is tied 2-2. And my Thunder were in grave danger, down 6 after 3 quarters Sunday at Denver, Game 4. They were in grave danger of falling down 3-1. They went down 8 early in the fourth quarter before winning that fourth quarter 29-18 and surviving that game. 2-2. And I'm sure Draymond Green and Paul Pierce are still saying nobody fears the Thunder. They've been saying that all year long. So, this series is tied either because the team nobody fears or cares about is A, it doesn't have a closer, or B, the Thunder simply haven't learned how to close games, especially big playoff games, because they played so few close games during the regular season, which they dominated the way no team has ever dominated a regular season. They were just too regular season good for their own playoff good because they weren't quite ready for this. They didn't get to practice this during the regular season. So think about this. In Game 1, the Thunder were up 13 with 6.5 minutes left, and they lost. They led Game 2 by as many as 49 points and won finally 149-106. In Game 3 in Denver, they were up 3 with the ball with 37 seconds left, but a cold shooting Shai Gilgeous-Alexander wouldn't let a hot-handed Jalen Williams touch the basketball on 2 straight possessions, and OKC lost. Then Sunday, up 7 with 147 left. SGA missed the last 3 shots he took, and he mixed in one horrifying dribble off-foot turnover. And I must admit, Denver, they had every chance to steal another one as a 6.5 point home underdog. And it looked to me like the Nuggets just finally ran out of physical and mental gas in the Mile High atmosphere. That Thunder D will wear you down and ultimately out. But I must admit, even though SGA got a lot of attention and credit for closing finally, I'm not sure he closed. He had this one stretch. He scored 8 points in about 3 minutes from the 5:28 mark down to 2:22 of Sunday's game. He made 4 straight shots. First one was a little lucky. He got a soft, lucky bounce, fortunate bounce on a little floater. Made a really nice mid-range. Made a driving, bolting layup, just beat everybody to the glass. And it all started with 2 free throws that he finally made after he'd missed several free throws in the game. He made those with 5:28 left. So they do go up 7. And then I'm not sure he actually slammed the door. Denver slammed the door on their own foot. So this series has actually featured dueling least valuable players because SGA and Joker have taken turns trying to not one up, but one down each other. SGA is only 4 of 19 from 3 in these 4 games. That's 21.1%. But Joker from 3 is only 6 of 28. That's 21.4%. While Joker also has been averaging a mind-blowing 5.8 turnovers per game. Think about that. Let's call it 6 turnovers a game through 4 games. And OKC has scored 95 points off turnovers to only 43 for Denver. That's juggernaut basketball. That's in another league stuff, as Wayne suggests. But it's 2 games apiece. So for the playoffs, SGA is shooting 11 of 47 from 3. That's 23.4% after shooting 37.5% during the regular season. So I'll be honest, is this stage just a little too big? Lights a little too bright for the guy who should win the regular season MVP? I don't know, man. I'm starting to wonder. What I love most about the NBA playoffs is the deeper you get, the more they reveal. If you're flawed, if you're not that guy, you will get exposed. Ultimately exposed. Happens every time. But the weirdly great thing about my Thunder is this, and you probably haven't watched them all that much, but they have a whole lot of other players capable of coming up clutch if SGA isn't that guy. J-Dub, Alex Caruso, and Chet, and Aaron Wiggins, and Cason Wallace, and Hartenstein. I could go on and on. They've all had big clutch moments during the season and even during these playoffs. So I think Game 5 will be more like Game 2, a big, bad OKC blowout in OKC. I predicted Thunder in 6, and I'm going to stick with it. But I do believe, laugh if you will, but I do believe we're now watching the NBA Finals. These are the 2 best teams. The Thunder are, to me, considerably better than the Nuggets, but the Nuggets have a bunch of mentally and physically tough ballers, flat-out dogs who have been here and done all this before, who know how to close, how to clutch up. Look, if it takes 7 games, we will win it in 7 games. You know, bottom line to this discussion, what should really scare the other remaining teams is the team nobody fears still hasn't remotely played up to its potential so far in these playoffs. But it will. Book it. That's it for this episode. Thanks to Tyler Korn for producing, to Ernestine for overseeing, and to Hazel for approving.